Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for today's annual general meeting, which I'm sure you will appreciate is taking place in extremely unusual circumstances. This is, of course, due to the impact that the coronavirus pandemic is having on our society. Given the government measures in relation to social distancing and public gatherings, this meeting will be convened with the minimum necessary attendees, comprising 2 directors who are both shareholders and a representative of Albion Capital Group LLP as company secretary. However, today's annual general meeting is being broadcast over the internet via a live stream service, which has been set up to provide shareholders with the opportunity to at least take some part in the proceedings during these unusual times. My name is Ben Larkin, and with your permission, I will be your chairman for today's AGM. I would also like to introduce my board colleague, Patrick Reed, who joins me here at Albion Capital's offices in London. Lynn Golby and Lord O'Shaughnessy have joined via the video link, and hopefully you should be able to see them visually as panelists alongside my picture on the screen. Before I move on, I would just like to say that the board is extremely sorry that we cannot hold the AGM from our usual venue. However, we are taking the safety of our shareholders as paramount, and for that reason, the board has decided to use this approach to the AGM. Alongside this, the company's articles of association do not permit an AGM to be held by virtual video. This is the reason why Lynn, Lord O'Shaughnessy and shareholders cannot interact and be heard during the AGM proceedings. The quorum for this annual general meeting is 2 members entitled to vote in person or by proxy. This has been met, and therefore I declare the meeting open. Before we continue with the normal course of business, I would like to take this opportunity to thank shareholders for sending their questions and queries using the new chairman email address. A comprehensive question and answer schedule will be posted on the website after this AGM. I'm extremely pleased that we're able to continue engaging with the shareholders during these unprecedented times. And I do hope at the end of the AGM, you will give us any feedback you may have. Can you please provide that to the same email address? Before we start on the formal agenda, there will be a short presentation from Will Fraser-Allen, Managing Partner of Albion Capital.
Welcome to the results presentation for Albion Development VCT PLC for the year ending 31 December 2019. I am Will Fraser-Allen. I'm Managing Partner of Albion Capital, the manager to the VCT. I'm sorry I'm not presenting to you in person today, but unfortunately the restrictions imposed by the government following the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic means that I must do this from home. Today I'll be going through the financial results, looking at the results for the year, investment strategy, realizations, and look at the end we'll consider the prospects for the fund going forward. The year end saw 83.47p of net asset value, following a return in the year of 3.28p. That represents a return of 3.8% on the opening net asset value. We were able to pay a tax-free dividend of 4.5p, an increase on the prior year, and that represents a tax-free dividend yield of 6.25% on the share price. Forever, much has happened since the 31st of December with the outbreak of COVID-19, and following the close down, we were forced to revalue the entire portfolio, every single company. This has resulted in a reduced NAV of 77.66p. That is, sadly, a 7% decrease in the net asset value. It could, however, have been worse, and the impact of this dreadful disease was impacted by this VCT having some 30% in cash holding, and also a very resilient renewable energy portfolio of wind, solar and hydro, which has been largely unaffected by COVID. Our B2B software businesses also proved resilient with their strong recurring income streams and the fact that they are mission critical to many of their customers. We've also built up a portfolio of digital healthcare businesses which have proved to be critical in providing remote treatment in this time of increasing need for this service. We also had limited exposure to the consumer-facing sectors, which have been so most badly affected by lockdown. Looking at the results, the 12 months to March now shows a reduction of 4.6%, although our 5-year return at 34.9% and 10-year at 56.7% still remain strong. Looking at the portfolio by sector, which is critical to ensuring an all-weather portfolio, you'll see that we have continued to increase our weightings to software, now at 30%, and healthcare, now at 19%. Cash, as I have previously said, represented some 26% at 31st December. Elsewhere, we have renewable energy at 13%, and then we have education, which is our two schools. Looking at how we construct our portfolio, the diversification is critical, not only by sector, but also that the businesses within it have different stages of maturity and scale. So, looking at the table, looking to the left, you'll see that our portfolio has relatively little exposure to early stage, and by early stage we mean investments where turnover is less than $1 million. If you look at it another way, only 8% by value of the NAV have less than 20 employees. 64% of the portfolio is now in businesses with more than 5 million revenue, and some 35% have more than 100 employees. So we're achieving this diversification both by sector, by maturity, and by scale. So looking at the highlights of the year, we again had a successful top-up fundraising, raising another 8 million. So thank you to shareholders who supported us there. We also had a busy year for exits, with the sale of our school in Twickenham, Radnor House, our group of pubs, Bravo, and the software company PSE. More on that in a moment. We continue to invest at the same rate as the previous year, with 2.8 million invested in 7 new companies, and a similar amount into the existing portfolio. Again, I'll give you some examples in a moment. In terms of providing important services to shareholders, the VCT bought back £1 million worth of shares and paid out an increased dividend, which represented a total of 3.1 million, up from the 2.5 million the previous year. So what were the key value drivers? So the exit of PSE and Bravo were between them 1.2 million. We also saw a decent uplift in our investment Pravica, which I'll describe in more detail in a moment. Elsewhere in the portfolio, a number of write-ups were balanced by a similar number of write-downs, the full details of which can be seen in the annual report. We were very pleased with the exit of PSE. This PSE was a business that we invested in back in 2007, so a very long holding. Our original investment of 2 million generated a return of 10.4 times when we sold the business to Siemens for 120 million. This VCT had proceeds of 1.4 million. This is the second 10 times return Albion has had on software businesses in 2 successive years. We also sold our school Radnor House in Twickenham. This is an investment that we've had since 2010, and we've been very pleased to work with David Payton and his team to set a school up from scratch and build it into the very successful school it is now. It also proved to be a very good investment for the VCT, generating 5.8 million of proceeds over the period. That represented an IRR over 9 years of 19.6%. So what is our investment strategy? Well, in terms of the stage of the companies we invest in, we invest from very early, which we call seed, all the way through to more mature businesses, which we describe as Series B. Between those two ends of the spectrum is Series A, so those where we do the bulk of our investing. The Series A company will have developed its product, have developed a market for it, and are now looking to scale up to support growing sales. So what are we doing? Well, we're backing long-term trends, and these we see long-term value, particularly in the key sectors that we invest in. So software is driving so much change in the world, whether that be through cybersecurity, through digital marketing, and data analytics. We see healthcare as a very long-term theme, driven by demographics and the increasing complex healthcare needs of the global population. So we support healthcare through software, making it more efficient, specialist pharma through repurposing drugs, and through diagnostic devices. Never have we all been so conscious of the importance of key diagnostic tests. Elsewhere in the portfolio, we back automotive technologies, sensors, and indeed process automation, allowing enterprises to do things more efficiently, both to reduce cost, but also to improve both services and product. We do focus on business software and technology-enabled services, and as I've alluded to earlier, we limit our exposure to consumer-facing businesses, which are typically more cyclical and more exposed in an economic downturn, one which we expect to come shortly. We were very pleased in the year to receive recognition from our peers by winning the Best Generalist VCT Award at the Tax Efficient Awards. So looking at some investments we've made in the year, Speechmatics was an investment led by Albion. A total of 6.35 million was invested across the Albion VCTs, including this one. We were investing in a speech recognition platform, which is able to transcript over 29 different languages into text. This is important in many scenarios. An example might be in a financial services call center, where they wish to provide transcripts of what has been said to enable that data to be recalled or analysed. The money we've invested will continue to expand the number of languages and improve the product generally. And as is so often the case when we invest, it will be backing geographical expansion, for example, into the US. Importantly, companies that we back need to be in a large market, and this is no exception. Our estimate is that the automatic speech recognition market is some $7.5 billion. But as well as our new investments, supporting our existing portfolio as they grow is important. So Pravica was a follow-on investment in the year. This was a business that we've been invested in for many years, and we backed it very early on. Pravica is in the area of specialist pediatric medicines, and what they do is they take off-patent drugs and they reformulate them for the use in children. Their first drug, Cyalunar, is now selling throughout Europe, and again, we believe this market to be very large. Indeed, the European pediatric medicine market is estimated to be 20 billion euros. We made a number of new investments. Speechmatics I've already described, but a number of others. Limitless, which it provides an alternative means of providing customer service outside the call center, using ambassadors, which are typically customers, to answer queries from home. Elliptic provides anti-money laundering services to financial institutions in respect of crypto assets. This area is becoming increasingly important, and one that institutions need to be able to demonstrate their ability to identify money laundering. Clear Review is a software business that manages staff, particularly around the area of continuous appraisals. Looking after staff has never been more important, and Clear Review ensures that these staff are continuously reviewed, given the all-important feedback necessary to have a motivated workforce. Avoro is a great example of a data analytics platform, which using augmenting analytics and machine learning allows an enterprise to analyze the huge volumes of data that are being accumulated in the modern world. Amandra is a software testing platform specifically around the area of algorithms. Algorithms are increasingly used by financial services businesses, and indeed will be used in autonomous vehicles. Symmetrica designs and manufactures large-scale radiation detection equipment. So this is equipment you might have at a port, which allows authorities to identify radiation coming into the country. The key risk here, the key worry here, is dirty bombs. So what are the prospects? Well, the portfolio is, as I've described, focused on healthcare, software, education, and sustainable energy generation through our renewable energy portfolio. Fortunately, it has limited exposure to discretionary consumer spending, which is a concern given the economic outlook following COVID. We believe we are as well placed as we can be. However, the portfolio is impacted by COVID-19, and the full extent of that impact is still uncertain. Consequently, our core investment focus at the moment is to support our existing portfolios as they weather the storm. The fact that VCT has substantial cash available to it is hugely helpful in these difficult times. But it is by all means not all gloomy. A number of our companies in the portfolio are thriving. Our digital healthcare providing remote healthcare is a good example, and a number of our software companies are making it easier for organisations to have disparate workforces working from home. So thank you, thank you for listening to this presentation, and please all stay safe.
As mentioned before, we have received all your questions, and a comprehensive list of those questions will be published on the website after the close of this AGM. However, I would like to take this opportunity to answer a couple of the questions which the board considers to be the most frequently asked. And unsurprisingly, we have received questions on how the portfolio has been impacted by COVID-19. As Will alluded to, the current impact of COVID-19 on our portfolio will have been noted in the publication of our 31st of March 2020 interim management statements. This saw a 7% reduction in our net asset value when compared to the 31st of December 2019 now. However, the diversified makeup of the portfolio has shown some resilience, with limited exposure to the most at-risk sectors such as leisure, hospitality and retail. Furthermore, our disposal of some investments in the final quarter of 2019, as well as the success of our recent fundraising using the Albion top-up offers, has allowed the company to maintain a healthy cash balance, which has also reduced the impact on the net asset value caused by COVID-19. We believe this has left the company in a strong position to support the current portfolio companies, as well as take advantage of any new investment opportunities which may arise. Shareholders have also asked about the sustainability of dividends going forwards. The board is acutely aware of the importance of dividends to shareholders, and its intention is to continue to pay regular dividends as far as liquidity permits. The board regularly reviews the target dividend to maintain a yield against net asset value of approximately 5%. Shareholders have also inquired about the company's share buyback policy. The company resumed buybacks on the 22nd of April 2020. Buybacks will continue, but will be subject to the overall constraint that such purchases are in the company's interests, including the maintenance of sufficient resources for investment in existing and new portfolio companies, and of course the continued payment of dividends to shareholders. We will now proceed with the formal business of the AGM notice of the AGM. Notice convening the AGM has been in your hands for the statutory period. With your permission, I will take the notice as read. Are there any questions on the AGM resolutions?
No.
There will be a short pause whilst we share the presentation outlining the proxy votes. I would like to point out that although there are only a limited number of shareholders present that can vote in person, you will see as the votes are displayed on your screen that the majority of shareholders have in fact voted in favour of the proposed resolutions. So the first item on the agenda is to receive and adopt the company's accounts for the year ended the 31st of December 2019, together with the report of the directors and auditor. May I now call upon you by a show of hands to indicate first those in support of the resolution. Thank you. With your permission, I do not intend to read out the proxy votes after every resolution, but I will show them on the screen as each resolution comes up. Does anyone object to this arrangement?
No.
I declare the resolution carried. The next item on the agenda is to approve the directors' remuneration policy. Those in favour? Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. The next item on the agenda is to approve the directors' remuneration report for the year ended the 31st of December 2019. Those in favour? Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. The next item on the agenda is to elect Lord O'Shaughnessy as a director of the company, and I have pleasure in proposing Lord O'Shaughnessy for election. Those in favour? Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. For the next resolution, I would like to pass the chair to my co-director, Patrick Reeve.
The next item is the re-election of Ben Larkin as a director of the company, and I have pleasure in proposing Ben for re-election. Those in favour? Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you, Patrick. The next item on the agenda is the re-election of Lynn Golby as a director of the company, and I have pleasure in proposing Lynn for re-election. Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. The next item on the agenda is the re-election of Patrick Reeve as a director of the company, and I have pleasure in proposing Patrick for re-election. Those in favour? Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. I now propose the reappointment of BDO LLP as auditor of the company from the conclusion of the meeting until the conclusion of the next meeting at which the accounts are to be laid. Those in favour? Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. The next item on the agenda is to authorise the directors to agree the auditor's remuneration. Those in favour? Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. The next item is to allow the directors to allot shares. Those in favour? Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. The next item is to be considered as a special resolution. This is that the directors be empowered to disapply preemption rights. Those in favour? Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. The next item, which is again being proposed as a special resolution, is to authorise the company to make one or more market purchases of ordinary shares in the capital of the company. Those in favour? Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. Thank you. That concludes the formal business of the annual general meeting. Thank you so much to all shareholders who have joined this live streaming of the AGM. As noted earlier, the board welcomes any feedback you may have. You can do this by sending an email to aadvchair@albion.capital. And for those of you who are interested in seeing the full list of questions and their corresponding answers, these will be made available within 24 hours on the Albion Capital website. Many thanks, and I do hope you stay well and safe. Thank you. I declare the AGM closed.